I always find PCs are really weird in how they behave sometimes. What's up, Matt? Not too bad. It's been a weird, I guess, couple weeks here without doing streaming and all that. I was in the middle of finding and getting a new job. So, there's that. Now I'm not actually sure what is wrong with my sound. Like everything sounds good coming through on the other side, I believe, so. For some reason in my ears, everything is really quiet. Like I can barely hear the music. But if I turn it up on my computer, then it gets even louder on the stream. It doesn't normally do this. I don't know what the deal is. Yeah, there's that too. So I guess I'm going to be figuring out either a new schedule, or I'm going to have to basically kind of go back to not really having a schedule, which would be unfortunate. Because I liked being able to like have it kind of scheduled so that, you know, even if I'm not out there pushing it all over, you know, social media or YouTube or whatever, if somebody happens to come to my YouTube channel because of seeing a short or a post or the podcast or any other content, you know, the banner there says, oh, you know, streams on these nights at this time, and then they'll know that's probably when it's going to happen. But yeah, I did get a new job, different restaurant, back to like a corporate chain. I got tired of, there was a lot of like favoritism, and there was also choices that would be made without really I don't know, I guess considering how it would work out for us, like it was a local business, you know, a family owned restaurant. You know, they have a couple other different restaurants here in town, so it's kind of nice in a lot of ways. There were certain things that were not issues, because when you work in corporate, there's all kinds of stupid things that go on. But there's also the problem of a lack of professional boundaries, I suppose. Like, you could have managers that are buddy, like, you know, with certain employees, and especially employees that have been there for a good amount of time. Now, that can happen anywhere. However, at least in the corporate restaurant world, or even bigger, you know, at least like bigger chains or whatever, franchises, there are certain rules and things that kind of protect you from that affecting your work and affecting how you're treated at work, because there's also consequences if they, you know, get in trouble for that, which is not really when you work at a small business. So also, there's just the side of expectations. Like, the expectations are a lot higher at like a locally owned restaurant, smaller time restaurant that has like a reputation and kind of relies on that reputation for business. So that's nice in some ways, but in other ways it's not as nice, because the expectations are higher, but like I said, if you're in certain situations, like, it just didn't seem fair, you know. At least when I overperform or something like that at a corporate chain, I'm gonna do better because of it. You know, the expectations aren't as high, and that, I guess, makes me feel more free to actually just like do a better job. I don't know, is that backwards? That feels backwards, but when the expectations are there, it makes it harder to reach the expectations. When there's like lower expectations, it's like, okay, cool, I can go get out in front and you know, do a better job with this. I guess it's kind of like the Scotty thing, you know, setting the lower expectations so you appear to be a miracle worker. See, I really wish I understood what was going on here. Normally, I plug my earbuds in, and it essentially cuts the output of like the sound from my computer, like the music and YouTube and stuff. It cuts that down a bit, so I have to adjust for that, which is fine, because it kind of allows for my voice to come through over top of it. But usually I can also hear it through my earbuds, and it's like extremely quiet for some reason. I don't understand. Yeah, I also feel like if anybody should know stuff about computers, I probably should. But I also have had a good amount of time not using computers. Like, years of just using a phone in place of a computer. You know, I only got a laptop like a year and a half ago, something like that, year and 9 months ago. Before you continue to YouTube, shut up. Get my music back. That's so weird. I don't know. I don't have time to mess with it. not, not right now. I'll have to at some point do like I guess like a stream, but set it to private so I can sit and mess with certain settings. So anyways, yeah, I got tired of a lot of crap at the old restaurant. Like, for instance, there would be... I try not to do the victim mentality thing because nobody likes that, and it's irrational. But I also observe things. I pay attention to how I'm treated versus how other people are treated. You know, I try and balance it, and I try and go, okay, maybe I'm perceiving this wrong, you know, whatever. The problem is when it's such a consistent pattern, like, it can't be ignored. So, for instance, and you know about closing shifts and you know, things like that. But at the restaurant, if you come in at, say, 4 p.m., 4:30, typically you're not a closer. You're the first or second cut. So when things start to slow down a little bit, they're going to get rid of that 4 o'clock person. If you're the 4:30 person, things slow. You'll probably be kept on a little bit longer. But again, if things are slowing down, you're going to cut that person as well, you know, because labor is expensive. Restaurants, their biggest expense is pretty much labor. So you're always trying to get people off the clock. If there's not business coming in, they need to take care of, you know. And then people who come in at 5:30, they're typically your closers. And the restaurant I worked at, the structure was there was always 2 closers. So they would either be in at 5 or they would be in at 5:30, one or the other, right? And I was often a closer. So that would mean I would come in, there would already be 1 or 2 other servers on, and depending on business, there were many times where I would come in at 5 o'clock on Tuesday night, right? I would come in at 5 o'clock, and within an hour, you know, like 30 minutes to an hour, they would be like immediately cutting that 4 o'clock person because it would be too slow. There'd be no reason to keep them on. And I'm sitting there like, you know, I understand, but now I'm going to be stuck with more work, you know, if we get a pop later in the evening, because it would always feel like sometimes they would cut too quickly. At least, you know, on certain nights. But I would consistently be a closer. And I'd be dealing with that. Be like, okay, the 4 o'clock person's probably going to go within an hour of me getting there. Okay, that's pretty normal. Sure. But then on the rare occasion where I would be the 4 o'clock person and then the closers would come on at 5:30, I'd be sitting there going, there are 3 tables in the whole restaurant and it's not getting any busier. Why am I not being cut? Like, it just didn't make any sense because I watch it happen all the time when I was the closer. They'd be getting rid of that 4 o'clock person so fast. And when I would come in at 4 o'clock and then the closers get there and it's dead, and I've had 1 table for almost an hour, 2 tables maybe, they would just keep me on. And I'm sitting there going, this is not like consistent. Why am I not getting the same kind of cut that other people are? I just don't like that. Treat me the same as you treat your other people. And then, so that would be a consistent issue. And it would be kind of the same thing on, like, if I was a lunch shift. There's a lunch closer, you know, like, they're usually the people that come in at like noon. They're the people that are going to be stuck there the longest and essentially waiting for the early dinner shift people to come on before they get cut. And that was consistently what I was a lunch closer. So I would be there at noon. There was an opener and probably an 11:30. And again, within an hour or so of me getting there, they might cut the opener. And then another hour later, they might cut the other person because there'd be like 2 lunch closers. So you're sitting there until 4:30, 5 o'clock when dinner people come on. I finally get one of those earlier shifts. I'm the 11:30 person. And I'm like, oh, finally, I get to have an earlier day. I don't have to wait all the way until the dinner people come on. So I'll be sitting there. The opener will be either cut or the opener decides to stay on late, like work a double. And so that should shift me into the first cut position because they've got an extra person staying on. But nope, they keep me on until 4:30. And I'm like, again, why am I not being treated consistently? But it's because there are certain people that are either they've been there a while and they get preferential treatment, or they are buddy with owners and managers and things like that, so they get that preferential treatment. And then when you're in the same time slots that they are and you feel like you should be getting treated the same, you're not. So there's things like that that are very common, at least there. And this is the first time I've ever worked for like a local a small restaurant business type thing. So I rolled with it for a long time thinking, well, you know, it's a better environment than most corporate restaurants. It's pretty decent money. The guests we have are good. The location's good, you know, so maybe it's worth sticking around. But eventually it just gets to be a little too much. And they would be constantly screwing with my schedule as well. So they would publish a schedule on, say, a Friday. And then Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening, they'd be suddenly dropping extra shifts into my schedule for the coming week. And I'm like, the night before the next week starts, I'm getting more schedules or more shifts. And I know that that's a possibility in a lot of places. But again, it was so common. It was like, guys, give me a break. Like, I don't want to deal with this. So yeah, I started looking for other places. And the new restaurant I work at is actually an old restaurant I worked at, or brand. I worked for this brand before, but at a different location. And they hired me back on. I did my first training shift yesterday, and it went super, super smooth because I already knew everything I was doing, not just from years of experience, but whenever I had a boss that would do that, I would pretend I never saw the new schedule and make them call me in. Yeah, I mean, it would be nice. But we have that an app, Hot Schedules, and it updates and sends you notifications. And when they do publish your schedule, it does pop up on the schedule in both your email and on your thing on there. It says, this could be modified, and updated. It's your responsibility to keep track of your schedule, yada, yada, yada. So, yeah. So you could try that, but then they're going to write you up anyways, And the problem is they so consistently would screw with your schedule last minute that it'd be happening all the time. Oops. So like I said, on the plus side, it is a restaurant brand I've worked for before. So I'm very familiar with the layout of the restaurant, the layout of the menu, how everything kind of works there, the process for everything. It's a whole 21st century deal. We use tablets to enter orders, and we have food and drink runners that are supposed to be kind of backing us up so we can take more tables and spend more time at the tables. When I previously worked for this brand, they had just started this process and were not very good at it. It was very rough at that time. But from what I saw in my training shift yesterday, they very drastically improved it. And also, this is a better location. If you live in this town and you're going to go to one of these two restaurant locations, this is by far the better one. It's newer, it's cleaner, it's better ran. It's always kind of been known that way. So just overall, it's kind of like getting back on a bicycle and riding again. After, the first few tables, greeting them and going through the process, with my trainer just kind of standing over there watching, I was like, oh, I know what I'm doing. This is good. And then he tells me, he's like, yeah, this is considering we actually had one of the runners call out tonight. I'm like, wait, this was when we were technically shorthanded? That's what you're telling me? And it goes this smooth? So I was pretty impressed with it. Got a couple more days to do some training, and then I'll be back out there on the floor making money. I did a minor upgrade for my little stream setup here. So I have a microphone, like obviously it's like a USB microphone, plugs into my laptop, and it's pretty decent. It's got a little pop filter on it. It's got good sound, I think. I've been using it for about a year or so. And but it sits on like a little post. And so previously I had, because I prop up my laptop to give it ventilation, like one of the things I need to do is get like one of those little laptop ventilation stands or whatever. Yeah. So what I was doing is I was sitting the little post in front of the laptop and like reaching around it to touch the keys or to use my mic or anything like that, right? Or having to like move my head up or down or to the sides to see around it, right? I've also had for a while now a boom, like a little like desk boom where you could like, it has like a claw on the end, like a grasping claw or whatever, that I used to put my phone in to do like overhead stuff for opening Pokemon cards and all that, and like my Star Trek ships. So what I ended up doing was I can unscrew the mic from the post, and I just like put the claw around the body of the microphone, and so now I actually have it on an adjustable boom, so I can move it like up out of the way if I want to get to something. And it's also out of the way of my hands on the desk, so I can reach the keyboard and mouse and everything without having to reach around it, and I can see over it and all that. So it's kind of nice. I don't know where certain people just randomly disappear for long periods of time and they have nothing going on with their lives. I'm just kidding. Like I'll be texting somebody, Agent Tomcat, or my brother. I'll be texting them, and they'll be, because we use an app called Signal. It's a messaging app. It's like encrypted, but it has like you can see people are typing, you can see the message indicators and all that kind of stuff. And it's really helpful because it'll work on Wi-Fi instead of over your cell network. So it's like sending, files and photos and stuff like that. It doesn't get interrupted by having a low signal if you're on Wi-Fi. Anyways, but I'll be like talking to them, and every time I send a message, they're seeing it, they're there, and then 10 minutes later, they're not seeing anything I send to them, and then it stays that way for hours, and I'm like, bro, what the heck? What'd y'all do? People weird. .econ, what the hell? Oh, I'm still like instinctively trying to reach around my microphone, and it's not there. So, what did I try to go to? YouTube? that's not a thing. This is gonna be really weird if I can't hear anything. I honestly don't know why it's being like that. Spatial sound off. Volume mixer. Let me see if this has anything to do. Okay. Maybe it should be? Wait, maybe what should be? I was saying things and you responded to them, but I don't know what things you responded to. Okay. Just checking my voice level over the music. Alright, I think we're good. Actually, I want to check on something. Starfield or not Starfield, I guess Starfield, Bethesda, Xbox, etc. They had announced yesterday that they had hit like 10 million players. Oh, get out of the way. What in I swear sometimes. I don't even know if I want to read that. I know there was a big leak from Xbox. And everybody made a big fuss over it. I mean, because it's always exciting if you can get like a news leak about consoles and game brands and stuff like that. But Phil Spencer did come out and basically say it kind of is meaningless. I want to take a look at this here. Xbox fans got more news than they bargained for this week as several documents from Microsoft's court case against the FTC were shared online. Turn the game down. Unlike many other similar documents, these leaked files were not redacted in any way, giving the public a clear look at some of the gaming giant's plans. While Xbox boss Phil Spencer has since explained that many of these plans have changed, gamers were still excited to see mock-up designs for a new Xbox Series X model, a possible Xbox handheld, and even a brand new controller designed for next-gen gaming. Right, and that's why I hate journalism of any sort, really. Games journalism is particularly bad, considering it's not technically political. Like, obviously we know political journalism is terrible, but you would think over on the gaming side of stuff, considering it's like a hobby, it's an entertainment hobby, that you'd have people that are like more passionate about it, more learned about it, and wanted to do things right, at least used to, like long time ago. Yeah, right there you've got what the Xbox Secrets leak tells us about the console business, and Xbox fans go wild for secret new console, da 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 da. But then you get over here and it's like, calm down. The Xbox leaks aren't that big a deal. Okay, I do want to look at this in a minute, because I, from what I had heard recently, before I move on with this article, it might actually go on to talk about it. What I had heard recently was Phil Spencer, before these leaks, had said, yeah, we're not really thinking of doing like a mid-generation upgrade. Like last generation, both consoles did that. And I believe that might be the first time that's ever happened. Besides like doing, slim line models and stuff, we've always kind of gotten those ever since, like, hell, I think the Sega Genesis did that. The Sega Genesis / Master System was originally like a bigger kind of chunk of a console, like legitimately a console if you think about what the word is. And then they did a Genesis 2, basically. They didn't really call it that, but that's what it was. Same internal hardware, same performance and all that, but it was like a much smaller, slimmed down little box. That's the one I have, actually. So it's been a thing that's happened forever. We always get like revisions of the hardware as components get cheaper and smaller, and you can like refine the shell essentially. Make it smaller, cooler looking, whatever this time. But I believe last generation with the Xbox One and the PS4 was the first time we ever actually got like actual spec upgrades, like performance-wise, not just, it's the console runs cooler, and so it doesn't like kill itself, basically. The PS4 Pro was a slight upgrade over the PS4, and the Xbox One X was a major upgrade over the Xbox One, because in some technical senses the Xbox One was technically inferior to the PS4, although a lot of that is how developers use stuff. But it was also considerably more powerful than the PS4 Pro as well. So the Xbox One X was a pretty huge leap for within a generation. And that was the first time that any consoles, as far as I can recall, that anybody ever really did that. I mean, I guess you could count the fact that the Sega Genesis got devices like, what was it, the 32X or something like that, and the CD upgrade. But I still feel like that's a little bit different of a scenario. Anyways, so obviously because that happened last generation, there were a lot of people that were like thinking it would happen this time. Is there going to be a PS5 Pro? Is there going to be a Series X? You know, that kind of thing. I don't think that's going to be the case, and they might cover it about the leak. Because Phil Spencer said before these leaks happened, he had said that they were not looking to do a mid-generation refresh, that the Series X were barely touching the potential, which there's truth to that. Both the PS5 and the Series X, developers are not really going to be fully optimizing and using the potential of the hardware for a couple years still. Almost every generation of gaming that I have experienced, whether it's the original Xbox, the 360, the Xbox One, whatever it is, you start to see the best looking games, the craziest new innovations and stuff, like 4 or 5 years sometimes into the life of a console, because the tools to create for those and the skill of developers, like their familiarity with it, it's gotten that much better over the years. So more than likely, considering the Series X and PS5 were a lot better suited to be kind of a little bit ahead of the mid tier hardware curve, I guess, when they launched, versus last generation where they were already behind the curve when they launched. Hopefully all this makes sense. But anyways, going back to now, he said that that's not really necessary. They're not looking to do that, which I believe. I really do think that they're going to just move forward with a new generation in a few years. But that doesn't mean they won't do revised hardware, in the sense of like, maybe, like, I think in this one they said they're going to remove the disk drive or something like that. But making like just newer form factor for the device, make it smaller, different design, whatever. So apparently there was a controller. The controller codenamed Sybil, whatever. In the leaked documents has sparked perhaps the most heated conversations. The design incorporates swappable thumbsticks, similar to the Elite Series 2 controllers, as well as haptic feedback, an internal speaker, and much more. While it appears cosmetically similar to previous Xbox controller models, albeit with an odd two-tone color scheme. This is probably going to be a grippy thing, is why. Yeah. That would be my thought, is there's going to be like a handle grip thing going. Or this was just because it's all out of context. Or it's going to, it's just showing that it can be black or white. I don't know. There's one sentiment that keeps popping up. Doesn't it feel awfully familiar? Some gaming fans think the Xbox is taking cues from Sony. What are you talking about? That's an Xbox controller. From precision haptic feedback to the rechargeable battery and built-in speakers, gamers are seeing a huge number of parallels between the two next-generation gamepads. Some are excited about this, as it means Xbox is taking competition seriously. Others are already writing the new controller off as a craven copy of what worked for Sony in the past. Really? Because I've never heard anybody actually caring about the speakers in the PS5 controller. And haptic feedback, the stuff in the, like, and having the trigger stuff. You know, Xbox was doing the impulse triggers a whole generation before Sony decided to do the haptic feedback stuff. So I really find it funny when Microsoft does something a full generation before their competition, and then when their competition does it, it's like, oh my god, it's mind-blowing. They had the same problem with Zune, they had the same problem with Windows Phone, and it's always been there with Xbox and PlayStation. It's really frustrating because I've been, I guess since a kid, kind of a Microsoft fan, because I grew up like in the early 90s with my dad building like PCs and stuff. And then when I got older, obviously Microsoft made the Xbox, which became like the first console I ever went and bought for myself. And I've stayed with Xbox the whole time. And then like I said, other consumer electronic devices were just the superior device when they came out. Zune was far superior to the competitive iPods. The Windows Phone was quite superior to competitive Android and Apple devices. And yeah, they did come out with tablets technically before iPad, and then iPad came out with then Apple came out with the iPad, and then several years later, when Microsoft decided to do the Surface device, which was a full-fledged PC as well as being a tablet, everybody's like, oh, look at them trying to knock off the iPad. And it's like, what are you talking about? iPad was a knockoff of everything that came before it. So anyways, this has always been a really typical thing, including with Sony versus Xbox. Xbox will come out on market with something new. Nobody seems to pay attention to it. Then Sony does something with that's somewhat technically better, but it's the same concept, and everybody loses their minds. It's like the Joker meme. And suddenly everybody loses their minds. It's the same thing. The Xbox One came out, and I was super excited for it, but it was the first time they had put rumble motors in the triggers. And it wasn't just, they just vibrate with everything else. First of all, they're smaller motors, so they're more detailed in their vibration. But they would be used from everything from, like, say you're playing Halo and you're firing your gun. You could actually feel feedback from pulling the trigger and firing the gun. Like, you would feel like feedback from firing the gun. And then you would feel things like if you got close to the end of your clip, for instance, I think in Gears of War, if you were getting close to the end of your clip, you would start to feel like a more intense vibration from it, kind of telling you that, giving you like tactile feedback you're about to jam the gun. And so you do your reload. And then my favorite thing was in racing games like Forza. You could feel the detail of the wheels. So you would essentially have the rear of the vehicle, you would feel in the handle vibrations more intensely. But then like the more detailed stuff, you would feel the front wheels. You could feel them slipping. You could feel when you were hitting the brakes, and you could feel like the anti-lock braking working, traction control and all that. You would feel the acceleration as well. If you were pulling the trigger to accelerate and you were spinning your wheels, you would feel that spin in the triggers. So this innovation was already there, and it was awesome. When it was used, it like really enhanced the experience. I think just about every first-party Xbox game used it in some way, and it was really cool. To me, it changed the experience on a way that like adding rumble to controllers originally changed the experience, because you had just right at your fingertips, very sensitive point, right at your fingertips, you could feel all this detail from the gameplay, and it was really awesome. I think some of the Tomb Raider games used it as well. Like when you were going to fire an arrow, you would feel the tension in the left trigger and stuff like that. It was really cool. So it was all there for an entire generation on the Xbox One, and the vast majority of the time it was overlooked and nobody really paid any attention to it. So when the next generation, this one, was rolling around, Microsoft was like, okay, let's do that again. And I'm sure they improved, because technology improves, the motors are better, the detail they can put into them is better. And not only that, but the series controllers have like a really nice textured grip on the triggers and bumpers as well. But then Sony comes out, they announce, we've got haptic feedback, and that haptic feedback is essentially like a more technically advanced version of your typical rumble. Nintendo's used it for, since they launched the Nintendo Switch, in their controller, or the, what do you call them? Joy-Cons. But anyways, so Sony comes out and they announce essentially that they're doing that, and they've got the haptic feedback in the triggers. And again, like I said, everybody lost their minds. And I'm like, bro, we've had this kind of experience, at least on a similar way, for an entire generation, and you didn't give a crap about it. And then Sony does it, and suddenly it's a huge deal. So that's what I hate when you read these specs and everybody's comparing this to the DualSense. It's like, okay, yes, because Microsoft is deciding to upgrade to haptics, but that doesn't mean the rest hasn't been there the whole time. The structure of having, you know, your handle rumble and then your trigger detail rumbles up here, that's been there for almost 10 years now. Well, yeah, for 10 years, since 2013. And just because now they're like, okay, well, we'll upgrade to it being haptic feedback, because that's like the standard now, suddenly it's copying the DualSense. I just don't like the way the logic works in people's minds. I could really go on forever about this. Also, this is playing and taking up my stuff here. So they're talking mostly here about the this here is kind of interesting. Over on X, formerly known as Twitter, this user says, I'm really looking forward to the new Xbox controller. In my opinion, Xbox controllers are more comfortable than the DualSense, but adaptive triggers and haptic feedback are amazing. Okay, so haptic feedback, yes, that is a more advanced version of your typical technology having controllers. But adaptive triggers, you actually get a lot of that same kind of effect with the rumble motors in I think they call it impulse triggers. You already had a lot of that detail there. So you're just not playing games that have that, or I don't know. But so this article pretty much just talked about the controller. I want to see the console. Here it is. What the? Continue without. I'm pretty sure that's what that says. Oh, good lord. I used the built-in VPN on this, so it like thinks I'm from another country. I didn't even know yahoo.com still existed. So this, as far as I know, is not meant to be a spec upgrade, but we'll see. Xbox Series X Brooklyn is a console refresh with curved design, no disk drive, and a release plan for next year. Looks like it's trying to look like an Amazon Alexa, but Xbox style. Now, of course, the Series X, we all know, is a squared, you know, a tower, like rectangle. So that is an interesting look. I wouldn't mind that at all. I do have use for the disk drive, though, and I kind of like when Xboxes are boxes, but that'd be an interesting upgrade. Let's see. Plans of the new version for the Xbox Series X Brooklyn appears to feature a new circular design as well as increased internal storage of 2 terabytes. Xbox slides about the Series X refresh suggest that it will launch at the same price as the base console, but will feature a faster wireless connection. Well, that's good, considering Xbox always has like the best wireless modem in them. More storage, an updated controller, and a more sustainable design that will reduce PSU power. I don't remember. Power or something. And energy draw of the console standby mode. The controller. Whoa, what? Controller dubbed Sybil, whatever, is described as more immersive. Feature gyro support, Bluetooth 5.2, and direct cloud connection. I'm not really sure what that would be for, but that's interesting. Precision haptic feedback and haptics that double as speakers. New modular thumbsticks intended to provide improved longevity for the device. That'd be good. Controller is expected to launch in late May ahead of a June 2024 Xbox Gaming Beat that appears to be the company's offering for E3 2024. After that, a slight refresh of the Series S is due in August, with the launch of the Series X Brooklyn planned for late October ahead of a Black Friday and Christmas season sale. That would be interesting. Elder Scrolls 4, Oblivion, and Fallout 3 remasters both in development, alongside new Doom and Dishonored games. That's pretty cool. So that's cool news there. I feel like people are going to be pretty busy with Starfield for years to come. So, but yeah, this is not bad. I was hoping. Here's my thing, because the current Series X. I mean, we know what that looks like, but is this what I have? Just a black rectangle tower, and I think it's a great design. The top has a nice, slightly concave vent up here with a big old fan in it, and then there's like kind of green on the inside of the grill. Find a good picture. You can kind of see it here. Like there's green like on the inside of the grill. Mine, of course, stands vertically. But what I had hoped was that this design here, what they would do is if they remove the disk drive, we can show the internals, but if they remove the disk drive is like a chunk of the console about this big, you know, and it goes all the way back, right? If you took that out, you could possibly rearrange the internal guts of this thing and cut it in half. So like imagine the same design but cut in half. It literally would be the size of a GameCube. Well, maybe slightly bigger, because I have a GameCube over on my shelf I'm looking at now. The Series X is actually pretty close to the size of two GameCubes stacked on top of each other. So I always thought that would be awesome if they were going to do a revised Series X with no disk drive. So that's a pretty good chunk of hardware space to remove. Rearrange the rest of your crap in here, and then literally just shrink it down and like the same design but half the size, like half as tall. I think that would be super cool. And then it would like be the ultimate Xbox, like being a box. As is, this is like such a great console to be like custom design, like and for those little jacket things that we looked at before that they're going to come out with, those are going to be really neat. So that was the leak. There was like essentially internal documents like emails, because Microsoft is currently they've been in court against the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission or whatever, because they're trying to acquire Activision Blizzard. And that's pretty much going to happen at this point. But there was a lot of documents and internal plans and reports and stuff that had to be shared with the FTC because of that scenario. And I guess some of that got leaked. So that's where we got the potential redesign for the Series X, the controller, other plans they have, that kind of stuff. So I'm always excited to see leaks like that, but I feel like a lot of people freak out about things, or there's like a lack of context. So some of it you don't really understand what's happening. Phil Spencer's comment on it essentially was that, hey, these plans are always in flux, and that these aren't necessarily like completely up to date. So a lot of that has changed or could change. So I take it all with a grain of salt. There was a time many years ago, like literally, what was it? Before the 360 launched. Like when I found out the 360 was, or there was a new Xbox on the way, before they announced it was called the Xbox 360, what it looked like, any of that stuff. There was a rumor it was going to be called the Xbox Next. And that was like considered super legit at the time. That it was gonna, you had the original Xbox was out at the time, and the new one was gonna be called Xbox Next, which would be a fantastic name for a console, especially like the way you could arrange the branding and logos and stuff. And every generation since, it's been like, oh, let's name it Xbox Next, you know. And it's never happened, unfortunately. There's so many crazy ships that have been built in Starfield. It's so weird because the game has had, it launched and had like 6 million players like within a day or two, something like that. And then like a week later, it had already hit like 10 million players. I've played about 60 plus hours of it already. And considering I have a job, I go to the gym, I sleep. I feel like that's a pretty decent amount of time to commit to a game, considering I haven't cared about any game that much in a long time. There was a good period of time where I didn't even know if I really cared about gaming that much anymore, because I just couldn't get myself to just sit and play anything for hours. Street Fighter 6 came out, and that's cool. I still like that, but I would like pop it on. I'd play 2-3 like rounds of it and be like, okay, I guess I'm done. I seen a little jury on screen, so I'm good. Warzone was like the one thing I would really get into. I'd play that for a couple hours at a time, but it was like, it felt kind of hollow and empty, mostly because it's multiplayer. But beyond that, like, I would download stuff from Game Pass and be like, okay, I'm gonna try this cool game. I'd play it for like 15-20 minutes and I'd just like lose interest. Like, what was it? Everspace 2. That was like a space flight, not flight simulator, but like a space combat adventure type game, and it looked really good, and it's honestly, it is a good game. But I think I played it for about 30 minutes when it came out, and I just realized like a week ago that I still had it on my hard drive and I hadn't touched it since. So I deleted it because like I just wasn't going to play it. But that was the case with a lot of stuff that's come out. And it was, I think, partly because I knew Starfield was coming, but also because just nothing was hooking me like that at this time. Starfield does. I literally don't want to be on stream right now because I want to be playing Starfield. But I do like doing this, and I need to get back to it. So, but it's weird because I'm like obsessed with Starfield. My brother's obsessed with Starfield. His roommate is obsessed with it. And everybody I know that is like a fan of Bethesda RPGs, like when you play this game, it feels so complete. For being a space game, it feels like it hits all the things that you've wanted a space game to be for a long time. Like, so many different games have tried and just don't kind of hit everything. And that's where this game is for me. It's got space combat, exploration, planetary exploration. There's like a really kind of epic main quest line, but then there's all these factions. Like, it's got like infinite amount of things to do. And I haven't even touched the vast majority of them yet. Like, I barely just started getting into a couple missions of the main quest line. And I spent so much time just running around Mars doing random crap. Like, I want to get into the shipbuilding, but I kind of realized that I'm not going to be able to do exactly what I want to do with it yet. So I'm like, well, I guess that means I got to get out there and level up some more, make some more money and all that stuff, unlock new ship design perks and stuff like that so that I can go do that, So I think it's an absolutely fantastic game. I'll probably be playing it like crazy for, I feel like it's going to be years. And I'm not even on PC, so I can't mod it or anything like that, but I still feel like it's going to be years long enjoyment. Some of the complaints are really weird. Starfield suffers from an excessive amount of loading screens, which hinders the gameplay experience and breaks immersion. I'm gonna open this because if they think that loading screens are a feature, oh my god. This is not a feature, it's a requirement. Starfield suffers from an excessive, okay. The Elder Scrolls 6 should consider addressing the issue of loading screens to avoid you don't think that It doesn't even really ask you. That's the thing, is it's a complete non-issue on both sides. Like, I can't stand people like the Quartering. He's a YouTuber, Jeremy the Quartering. He's a faux conservative, even though he's not. Like, he's not. He's just kind of a boomer dumbass. But anyways, he made some big fuss over the pronouns thing. It's literally like there's nothing woke in this game at all. At all. Like, there's like same-sex marriage or relationships, but that's been in all these games for basically forever. Nobody gives a crap about that. You play it how you want to play it. When you're designing your character, the only thing is when you're naming your character, there's a little, it even automatically defaults to she, her, or he, him. But if you want to, you can go to a little drop down and change it to they, them, or to he, him, or whatever. Like, it's a total non-issue. And you know what it did? It kept anything else from being, because it would have been a bigger problem if they didn't have that stupid little thing in there. Like, why do you need a mod so the game doesn't add it? Because it doesn't even ask. You go change that if you want to, basically. So but it's a complete non-issue. Like, I know people made a big deal out of it, but it's like, bro, if the worst thing a game does is give you the option when you are designing your character to select she, her, he, him, they, them, then by all means, let that be the biggest woke issue in the game. Because that's it. That is it. There's like nothing else. It's not even like it asks you to do that. It's just there if you happen, when you go to name your character. So the fact that there's some people out there that are making a stink about it, I'm like, y'all are dumb. Let's reward Bethesda for making that the only thing in this that one could possibly consider woke, and considering that means that they avoided putting anything else in this game. Because it would have been super easy for them to do that. Like, take the wins where you get them. This is such a weird argument. This is what I'm saying. These games journalists, Game Rant, they're kind of dumb. This reminds me, do you remember somebody, we both know him. His initials were JB. And it's been like a huge joke to me, but there was, I don't think it was with you, or if he ever said it to you, but we were talking video games once, and I remember him saying, why do they put loading screens in the games? Why don't they just get rid of them? And I'm like, a loading screen exists because they don't have an option. They don't have a better option. They don't purposefully put loading screens there because they want them to be there. I think he was playing, I think he was trying to play Oblivion or something. I can't remember what he was doing. But I remember him saying that to me one day. And I'm like, you do realize that Correct. Yeah. Yes, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But I remember him saying that to me one day, and I'm like, bro, you do realize that loading screens are a necessity. They exist because they have to. Nobody wants a loading screen. Game developers or whatever, they're not putting them there. And that's what this reminds me of. Move away from one annoying Starfield feature. They do realize that a loading screen is not considered a feature. It's a necessity. It exists because it has to. The Elder Scrolls 6 should consider addressing the issue of loading screens to avoid a... You do realize that they've done everything they can for that. For instance, on the Xbox Series X, because that's where it can be played. PS5 as well, but this game isn't on PlayStation. Haha. They have SSDs now. The internal the internal drive storage device. Sorry, I don't want to say hard drive because that's technically different. The internal storage device for an Xbox Series X and an Xbox Series S is a solid state drive, which is a very, very, very fast form of storage compared to a hard drive, which was like there was physical moving parts in a hard drive. You had like a disk It's actually very similar to an old record player, but like harder, I guess, because it's a hard drive. But you actually had a metal disc that had a laser reader that would read that disc. Someone put custom loading screens in one of the Fallout games. One of the screens said, "Stop spamming stim packs, you filthy casual." Or what about save scumming, which is like my favorite thing to do. I avoid it in Starfield, but whenever I've played a Bethesda RPG or any RPG that allows it, like freedom to save, like the Deus Ex games, I save scum like insanity. Like every time I go into a conversation with someone or go to try to lockpick a door or anything like that, I'm like, oh, quick save. Then I do the lockpick. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm good. Oh, I failed. Okay, reload. So save scumming is a major thing in these RPGs. Any game where you have the freedom to save at will wherever you'd like. But anyways, so in modern consoles and PC, they use solid state drives, which are extremely fast compared to old hard drives. So you have a much faster data stream, and in many games it either drastically improves load times or eliminates them altogether, so you rarely see loading screens. In a massive RPG like Bethesda, when you go to leave your ship, it's pretty quick, right? It probably already loaded in a lot of stuff into the solid state drive, into the memory, so that when you go to leave the ship and go outside, boom, it kind of loads pretty quickly. But then it may not know from that point though if you're going to stay outside on the planet and run around and scan stuff and explore, or if you're going to go indoors to a facility or a city or whatever it is. So it probably doesn't load all that, because it's instead focused on loading the big open world around you. That to me is what would make sense. So when you do go to the colony and decide to enter the city, the game then goes, oh, now it is going to load the city up, because now it knows what you're planning to do. The load screens that Starfield has, this person, it blows my mind that they're complaining about this, because the load screens that Starfield has, I couldn't imagine, like, if this person played Skyrim on Xbox 360. I don't think they would be making this complaint. Or Oblivion on Xbox 360. Or Morrowind. Well, Morrowind wasn't too bad on the original Xbox, but it was still pretty bad. Bethesda RPGs have always had some pretty decent loading moments, because they're very big games with a lot of stuff. I will say this game, it's using a new version of the same engine that Bethesda has always used. They did a new creation engine, so that it's the same structure, but they redid it for this, and obviously optimized it very well for Xbox, because that was the only console it was going to be on. And with modern technology like solid state drives, which stream data much faster, your load times are reduced drastically, including, obviously you have better RAM and better processors. So the load times you see on Starfield are extremely mild, in my opinion, compared to what they could be if we were running this crap off of hard drives instead of solid state drives. Your load times would be 3, 4, 5 times as much, especially with what we see in this game. Because I remember playing Skyrim or Fallout 3 on the 360, and there would be minutes long load screens. Like, I swear I remember sitting there for like 3 whole minutes. And that doesn't sound like a lot of time, but when you're waiting for your game to load, that's a lot of time to get a game going. That's kind of crazy. You would sit there for a couple minutes just watching that stupid dragon skull with like smoke in the background. Meanwhile, with Starfield, you might wait like 10 seconds for it to load up a new area. Considering the vastness of the game, the amount of NPCs that are walking around, like the colonies and stuff feel very populated, which is nice. That's true. You could turn the dragon skull while you wait, or the random book. I forget which one that was. Well, this didn't look right. But yeah, so I mean, you wanna complain about having like a 10-second loading screen on Starfield? You know, that's kind of silly to me. So, remember how last time I was playing Pokemon on stream? That was pretty cool. I thought it was fun. Nice little activity to go on in the background to talk about or whatever. So I was playing that obviously on an emulator on the PC. And you don't use like the normal save feature in the game because it doesn't have memory to save to. It doesn't work. It's not a cartridge. You know, obviously, it's an emulated game. So it has something called a save state. And that's done by the actual emulator application, not the game running in it. It essentially like saves all your information that's at that point, and then it restarts it for you later. I saved, and then when I ended the stream, I was trying to do something with it. I was trying to go back and load it. That's right. After I got off the stream, after playing Pokemon like a week ago or whatever, I tried to go and reload the game to just to make sure it was going to load back up. So I start the game, I'm on the menu, and I go into the options, and I was tired or something, but instead of clicking the load that save state, I accidentally hit save again and saved over it. And I was sitting there, I was like, no. I was so pissed off. But I think if I'm going to play Pokemon again on stream, like continue that as a thing in the background, I should easily be able to get that caught back up to where I was in about 30 minutes off stream. Because it was obviously, you know, dragged out by talking and interacting with people and, you know, all that sort of thing. If I was just playing the sequence that I did, like by myself, it would take 20, 30 minutes. Not 2 hours. So I might go do that at some point, like go catch it back up, you know, kind of remember what Pokemon I'd caught and all that kind of stuff, and then be like, all right, guys, we're gonna continue now. But it did feel like a cool option, you know. I think I went and downloaded here. Let me see if I can pull it up. I downloaded that Jurassic Park game. Open. Oh, here we go. I always have to remember how these things work. Jurassic Park Island Attack. There it is. Nice. Let me see if I got my controls correct. There it is. Okay. Swap items. A is jump. B is item search. There we go. Yeah, I actually played this back on Game Boy Advance back in the day. And I honestly feel like it's actually a better adventure and story than the actual Jurassic Park 3 movie. This is the Coast Guard. Was there an accident? Yeah, like I said, it's not like the greatest game ever, but it was my first experience with a isometric, I guess you could call it, adventure game. So I thought that was pretty cool. So you're Alan Grant, you crash on the island, and you're on your own, and they're trying to dispatch a rescue team for you. And the boat will dock at the island's port, so do what we can to make it there. You don't stand a chance against them. I don't remember if there's a way to speed up the text or not. Oh no! How do I run? Okay, I don't think I can run. I can jump. Oh, there we go. Run away from the raptors. Spinosaurus comes after you. A dinosaur? Get out of there. Run. Oh, you press the control pad twice in one direction to dash. Okay. Oh, gosh. I love getting comments on Instagram. So, like, I do it to myself, though. Because I, for some reason on... Oh, no. Run! For some reason on Instagram, I feel more likely to be kind of a jerk than other places. I'll just be, like, really sarcastic on some of the reels I see and stuff. And then I, like, will spend months getting random retorts that are kind of dumb. I had one guy direct message me the other day and was like, "You're a POS, blah, 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 blah." And I'm like, you got to add some context here because I don't know which thing you're responding to that you don't like. So if you don't say you're a POS for this comment or whatever, then I'm probably just going to ignore you. It doesn't like have any effect. I'm just like, oh, whatever. Okay. Please keep me. Oh. So I think the item button was... It cracked. Hitting it would probably break it. Oh, that's right. This is a health bottle. Use it with the item button. Make sure to carry medicine or first aid kit. Okay. I don't remember what the item button... There we go. Oh, I see. So if you have other items, hitting the L or the LRL... LB, RB, left bumper, right bumper. There we go. If you hit those, it switches between them. I'm going to go this way. Raptor. Oh, that's my plane. That's the other broken side of the plane. This is actually kind of weird using the D-pad on the arrow keys instead of a D-pad. Run. Gallimimus. Oh, look, here's a broken thing. Can I move this? If you run into it... I know, I'm not trying to call you. I'm trying to... I need another item so I'm not constantly calling this guy when I press the B button. There we go. And we shove it out of the way. So you gotta have the little targeting thing to interact with it. More medicine! I think this might be where the T-Rex breaks in. There's my... Is that a flare gun? Yeah. Use the item button to fire and hold it down to fix your aim. Yeah, you really don't have any kind of real offensive capabilities in this game other than like blowing up barrels. Alright, so we switch to, there we go. Oh, and then you hold down B. Okay, okay. Nice. Oh no. Gunpowder boxes. Are there I love how there's this random person you're talking to and he's like guiding, of all people, Dr. Grant, who has already been on this island, not on this island, but you know, dealt with dinosaurs before. I think he might know what he's doing. So we can sort of stun the, oh my god. I'm gonna die. Run! There we go. Oh, that didn't work. That didn't work. Did I really just mess everything up? I think I need... I love how he makes the... Be patient and shoot the box with a flare gun. Well, I did. But I don't think he was close enough. Maybe if I leave and come back, it'll reload. I don't have any more medicine. Yeah, I think they reload when you leave, so... Oh my god. I'm gonna die. This is such a weird way to aim because, like, you hold down the... That wasn't close enough. It's such a weird way to aim because you hold down the B button, right, to pull the gun out, and then use the left and right arrows to spin to aim. So it works. It's just a little unwieldy, I suppose. And it's easy to... Oh, that didn't work either. He knocked me back out the door. There we go. Whew. I think they can get back up though. I gotta hurry. Why did I do that? Oh no, he was dead. Okay. Run, 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 run. Don't stop, don't stop, don't stop. Oh no. Run, jump, 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 jump. Not too bad. I think once I get used to the way you control it on here. I don't know why I shot that. That was actually kind of dumb. Thankfully, you can actually run past a lot of these. There we go. Let's go. Oh, shoot. No! Oh! There we go. Take that. But, like, this game was made for a Game Boy Advance in, like, what was it, 2000, what did it say, 2001 or something like that, 2002? And when you look at these, I'm sorry, to me, these graphics aren't too bad for being a Game Boy Advance game. And the detail that you get with some of these sprites and the backgrounds that they have and stuff, I think it's pretty awesome. All right, we are pretty well healed up. I don't think I have a way to... That was really dumb. I don't think I have a way to move anything over here. Oh, there we go. Oh, this is it. So it just went silent. That's because after I break this box, the T-Rex is going to come in. Or the Spino. You've located a card key. It'll allow you to open locks. It's kind of like a boss battle. I think the like barrels fall. Oh, you gotta avoid the crap. That's right. And then an explosive box will come in. Move. Of course, you can't get too close to him. Run! I can't, like, after that, like, initial... It's so hard to get him moving. Because you gotta double tap. And that's really hard to do. Don't die! Ugh. I can't get him moving fast enough. Basically. To avoid stuff. After shooting the box. Like the run gets it out of the way, but it's hard to trigger the run actually. Like he just kind of stands there for a second. Ugh. I really need, you know what I need to do is I need to get like a cheap little controller pad for playing on a computer. Or I could plug in my Xbox 360 controller actually. That would work. Ah, I missed it. I thought I hit that when he first came in. But he like spends so much time putting away the gun, and then like it's almost like he's stunned to walk. Oh, I think there's only one more barrel I gotta do, or box. I mean. Oh, I don't think that was enough. I want to beat the T-Rex at least. Oh, there's no box the first time. I think it's also just the game processing too, because it's obviously not optimized for a computer or something, so it's running like it would run on a Game Boy, so it'll get a little bit of lag. I'm gonna get hit every time, so oh, I can pause. See, it would have been good to have a health pack or something. Hopefully this one will do it. Nope. And I'm dead. Game over. Oh, I still have a continue. What? Does it just give you infinite continues? I thought the last one was my last one. Number one, I'm not used to using a D-pad on a, or not D-pad. I see that's the arrow keys on a computer to control something versus a D-pad under my thumb. Two, like move. He just won't move after shooting. Two, it's on. That was completely dumb. Two, it's under my right hand as well, so that's also kind of weird. Like he just won't move. What the hell? Hang on. I gotta see if there's some way to. No, I don't want to use a speed up. Turbo mode. What does that mean? Let me see what happens. Oh god. No, not turbo mode. That's that didn't work. Game over. Well, that was fun. So, yeah. It's a good game. 2001, dang. It's a good game. It's pretty fun. It's just I think if I'm gonna do any of these that are not like Pokemon, just because that doesn't necessarily require reaction time of any sort. I feel like if I'm gonna do any of these, I need to plug in a controller of some sort. I have an Xbox 360 controller that's wired, and as far as I know, those still work perfectly fine with PCs as a controller. So that might end up being a thing at some point if I want to play some of these games, because I think it'd be kind of fun just to have it as something to do. Pokemon, on the other hand, that's easy. Using the D-pad and stuff is, or the arrow keys and all that. That's no big deal there. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up the stream. I actually do want to go play a little bit of Starfield for an hour or so before I go to sleep. I do work tomorrow night for my training. I might be back home in time to do another stream. Like I said, the thing is now the new restaurant I work at it closes an hour later. So whereas my old restaurant, or not just an hour later, actually technically 2 hours later, because my old restaurant closed at 9 p.m. during the week and 10 p.m. on the weekends. So this is 11 p.m. during the week and midnight on the weekends. So it's 2 hours later. So with my old one, the reason why I did the midnight thing was because I knew that even if I was closing, like even on a busy night if I was closing, I would still be home well before midnight to be able to stream. So it was kind of guaranteed. Now I kind of won't know. My schedule won't be fixed, and you know the nights could be later. So the way I'm going to do this, I'll probably go back to kind of a free-form thing, you know, like trying to stream as much as possible. But it's going to be determined essentially by work. Now, there are times where I might get out of work at 9 or 10 o'clock, and then I can come home and like start streaming right away. So it might actually lead to some earlier streams than I was doing before. And then in some cases, if I'm off on a certain night or something like that, I might be able to, you know, have a more of a heads up on when I'm going to stream. So yeah, I think the scheduled thing is going to kind of drop away for now. Eventually, if I ever get to a point, like whenever it might possibly happen, eventually, if I ever had any kind of sponsorships or I was monetized or whatever was going on, I started to somehow make any kind of money out of this, down the road, I could work less at whatever I'm doing and be able to focus more on this. That's like kind of the ultimate goal eventually. We'll just have to see how it goes. In the meantime, I just need to kind of get back to being consistent with it. Like I said, changing jobs and all that kind of stuff kind of threw everything for a loop for about a week there. But I'm hoping to be, even though it won't be scheduled specific days and times, consistently doing it at least at some point. So there, like I said, there might be a night where I decide, oh, I'm not working tonight. I'm going to start at 9 p.m. It's going to be earlier. There might be a night where I do work, but I come home and I'm like, okay, cool. I'm home in time to start up at 11 or 12 or something like that. You know, whatever. We'll just see how it goes. Got to roll with the changes. So anyways, all that being said, actually, speaking of, I'll probably go ahead and get rid of the schedule aspect of this screen. Gonna wrap up for tonight. Thanks for being here, Matt. I think there's someone else here. I don't know if they were just observing or whatever, but whoever's here, I always appreciate anybody hanging out, checking out my content, checking out the channel and streams. Rival Indigo everywhere on the internet, Threads, and Instagram. If you would also like to send me hate mail for being sarcastic. And then, of course, check out all my content here on YouTube. Leave a like, subscribe, tell me what you think. And yeah, we'll see you next time. I will try to be back on tomorrow night if possible.